You've been lied to your entire life. They told you happiness comes from having more success, more money, more possessions, more goals, more achievements. But here is the first truth you were never supposed to hear. The more you chase, the less you feel. This is the message the world hides from you, because when your mind is full, your soul becomes empty. And today, you're going to understand why less isn't a limitation, it's liberation. Most people don't realize this until they're drowning in abundance. You finally get what you wanted, and the satisfaction lasts 30 seconds, maybe less. Why? Because your brain wasn't designed for endless stimulation. It was designed for contrast, for depth, for meaning. When you have too many choices, your mind stops valuing any of them. When rewards come too easily, you stop appreciating them. When you chase everything, you end up feeling connected to nothing. This is the quiet tragedy of modern life. Pleasure without intention becomes noise, and noise kills meaning. Somewhere along the way, you forgot that you were not built for unlimited access. That's why scrolling through hundreds of videos leaves you feeling empty, while one genuine conversation can change your entire day. That's why owning 5 new things feels less satisfying than having one item you truly care about. That's why people who seem to have everything often feel the most lost. They're drowning in abundance, but starving for meaning. This is the hook nobody expects. Too much doesn't make you happier. Too much makes you numb. Less is not about poverty or deprivation. Less is about clarity. Less is about choosing what matters so you can finally feel it. Less is about removing the noise so you can hear your own life again. When you simplify, your mind stops surviving and starts perceiving. You begin to appreciate things again. You notice little details. You reconnect with yourself. Fulfillment doesn't come from volume. It comes from intention. It comes from focusing on what actually adds value to your life instead of clutter that consumes your attention. Think about the happiest memories you've ever had. They weren't filled with excess. They weren't overloaded with options. They were simple, intimate, meaningful. You weren't trying to manage 1,000 things. You were immersed in one thing that mattered. Because happiness is not about intensity. It's about connection. And connection dies when life becomes too loud. Here's the second hook. The more you have, the less you notice. The more you accumulate, the more invisible everything becomes. The first time you bought something you really wanted, it felt magical. But the 10th time, the feeling disappeared. The first compliment you ever received meant everything. But now you scroll past dozens and feel nothing. You used to celebrate your accomplishments. Now you barely acknowledge them because you've trained your brain to expect more before you allow yourself to feel anything. This is not your fault. It's biology. Your brain adapts, and once it adapts, things lose meaning. Too much kills meaning. Too much kills gratitude. Too much kills presence. Too much kills joy. This is why simplicity is powerful. Simplicity isn't about reducing your life. It's about expanding your experience. When you remove the clutter, you create space for appreciation. When you limit your attention, you amplify your focus. When you slow down, you feel more deeply. When you stop drowning in options, you finally make decisions that matter. Simplicity is not restriction. Simplicity is revelation. When the noise fades, the truth appears. And here's another hook. Too many choices make you miserable. Psychologists call it choice overload. When you have too many options, your brain shuts down. You feel anxious. You feel unsure. You overthink. And worst of all, you feel less satisfied with whatever you end up choosing. That's why people who grow up in abundance often feel the most directionless. That's why you spend more time scrolling through content than actually enjoying anything. That's why you hesitate more, compare more, and commit less. Because too many choices steal your ability to feel sure, to feel grateful, to feel enough. The world keeps chasing excess because it's easier to sell more than it is to teach people how to find meaning in less. Overwhelmed people are easier to control. Confused people buy more things. Distracted people settle for shallow lives, but not you. Not anymore. Because once you understand this truth, your entire way of living begins to shift. You stop asking, how can I get more? And start asking, what actually matters? And suddenly, your life becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your joy becomes deeper. You start appreciating little things again, a conversation, a sunset, a moment of silence. You stop craving everything and you begin valuing something. You stop reaching for more and you start reaching for meaning. Less is not emptiness. Less is intention. Less is focus. Less is freedom. Less is clarity. Less is appreciation. Less is presence. Less is power. The world wants you to feel that more is the answer. But the truth is the opposite. More is the distraction. More is the noise. More is the cage. But less is where your real life begins. Because the moment you stop chasing everything, you finally have the space to feel something. The moment you stop filling your world, you finally have room to grow. And the moment you stop drowning in more, you finally start breathing again. This is why less is more. And this is why the life you're searching for is waiting for you on the other side of simplicity.